If you did the Knit and Crochet Club stitches from 2020, you might be wondering, how do you put all your pieces together? Here I've just kind of got my crochet and my knit here mixed in together. And I will show you how to do blocking and how to attach them together. So first off, some of mine have gotten quite large as opposed to some of them are a lot smaller. So I'm going to do blocking to kind of make them all about the same size. So blocking wet on a blocking mat. You could also just use like the foam squares that have the alphabets on them. If you've got kids, you might already have these. Or you could even just use any kind of foam blocking, a pillow. If it's a pillow or towel kind of thing, you will want to flip it because it will take a lot longer to dry otherwise. Because I don't have a sink up here, I'm just going to take and dip it in, squeeze off most of the water so it's just damp. And we're going to do the same thing to block using the size that I want to achieve as my guide. So then I'll just let that one dry. When it's dry, we can just take the pins out. And it holds that shape pretty well. To put our blocks together, we can either use a crochet hook or we can sew them together with a yarn needle. I'm going to use a contrasting color. You might want to use something that blends in a little more. And you would just take and put the two right sides together. And then, just like you were crocheting for this version, you'll pull up your yarn, pull it through, and then you've got your tail and your current working yarn, and you're just going to continue. You pull that tail through with you just to help lock it in, and then you just stitch each space across. This is going to be a bit of a thicker seam. And you can also choose to put the other sides together if you wanted your seam to be more visible. So see how it looks like this on the front? You could also choose to have it look like that on the front, where it's seamed together. It just depends on what look you're going for. And when we reach the end here, we're just gonna cut it and then pull it off to knot it. So there's our seam over this side. And we would also tuck in these extra threads You can use a crochet hook here for that, or you can use a yarn needle if it's long enough. And that's just weaving in your end so that you don't have a bunch of strings coming off your project. Just going to run it through to kind of hide it there. And I'm going to do it for this one too. To sew them together, you'll want to take a length of yarn that will be long enough. You put it in your yarn needle. Put your two right sides together, starting at the end of it. We want to tie it off so that it stays in place. And then we're just gonna do a stitch. Between the side stitches. And this is going to be a little bit more invisible than the first method. And then I'm going to tie this off. And once again, we can weave in those ends. So see, that's a lot less bulky. You see it a little less, especially if you're using a color that kind of matches, like this one. And then that's our wrong side, so also a lot flatter. So you continue doing that, sewing these together into strips, and then you would take these strips and then sew them together also until you've made a blanket of the size you'd like.